The other piece to that is, why then are we talking about it in the Black community? Because if we're not being diagnosed, then can't possibly exist. And we have this tendency to call all kinds of things narcissism, right? We don't have a diagnosis, not in the least, but we can look at somebody and go, you gaslight me, you're a narcissist, right? Or you don't have any empathy, you're a narcissist immediately, rather than actually thinking through and walking them through what it would take for them to actually go and seek counseling so you can make that determination. So when I was in school, which wasn't that many moons ago, though I might sometimes talk like it was a long time ago, these were some of the courses that came up. Now, we've added some over the years, and I've taught some courses around the actual intersectionality of culture and the way that we look at trauma and the ways in which we talk about mental health and family systems. But we aren't looking at it at the depth of what do we actually do for a community that has experienced a generational trauma and trauma every day. I'll say that again. What do we do with a community that experiences not just a generational trauma, but trauma every day? And so that's why I decided to do this topic in this way. So let's jump in. Let's contextualize narcissism. What is this really? So we have a pretty good idea of what it looks like to think from the big five, ocean, right? We're talking about being open to experiences, conscientious. We're looking at agreeableness and neuroticism and extroversion, right? No, I didn't spell that right on purpose. Why? Because I want you to start thinking out of the box now. Because what I'm about to start talking about is going to make you shake your head in so many different directions that you might lose a lock or a weave or a color or something, right? But it's important to recognize that we all walk through life with narcissistic traits. Every single person. Anyone in this room got a master's degree? Raise your hand if you have a master's degree. Oh my God. Oh, more than half the room. Why do you think you're so special and so smart that you could possibly go to school and do something beyond, goodness, high school and then a bachelor's degree and now you got a master's? What's wrong with you? We all experience some narcissistic traits, right? What we're talking about is maladaptive behaviors that take you beyond those basic traits. Now, big five and then Hexaco. Why does Hexaco exist? Can anybody tell me? Because there's one piece in America that we don't really think about, but in Asia, which is a huge part of where I get my, where I did my studies and where I existed for probably 15 years of my life, I lived in Asia doing this work. It was my base, if you will, because I was civilian, was in Yokosuka, which is just south of Tokyo. So you look at the belly, kind of at the navel, if you will, right? So in Asia, there's this thing called honesty and humility. You heard me say in Asia. We have this in America, we really do. We just don't think about it, right? When we were thinking about the big five, we didn't put honesty and humility in there. Interesting. And yet we're talking about narcissism. So what is narcissism exactly? So this is the inflated self-importance, a need for admiration, and a lack of empathy. And most of the time when we talk about narcissism, we're talking about those individuals who have difficulty just handling criticism, basic criticism. We want to call it constructive feedback. It doesn't matter what you call it for them, right? It is going to be difficult. They exploit the relationships for personal gain. These are the individuals that they really do appear confident, but at the end of the day, they have really fragile self-esteems. Now, I also do quite a bit of work in intimacy. And I'm going to tell you the space where you can see a true, oh my goodness, beyond measure narcissist. Where am I going? It shows up particularly in the bedroom. Particularly in the bedroom. You cannot give a narcissist any feedback about the size for a female, the lubrication, whether it exists or not. You can't tell them anything about whether or not they are kissing it right, licking it right, putting it, you just can't. It's really difficult in that relationship. Now, I do intimacy. If y'all get offended, brush it off. It'll be all right. Trust me. And it interferes with their daily ability to function, right? And I just happen to be one of those people who keeps it real. I see faces that are like, did she say that? Yeah, she did. Narcissism. This is what we generally think about with narcissism. We think of egotistical, they're smug, these individuals who look down on other people. But there are actually different kinds of narcissists. We're going to talk about two in particular today. So different kinds of narcissists, and they manage these behaviors very differently. This is constant and consistent behavior. These are not one-offs. So signs and symptoms. We talk about this from the perspective of what does it look like to feel like there's self-importance. Don't you feel like you're important? Right? What level of self-importance would have to exist for a narcissist? I once had a client tell me that no one he worked with could rise to his pinky toe. You know how low the pinky toe is? I was like, you could have said the top of the big toe. I mean, there's a little more height there, you know what I'm saying? But that no one he knew could rise to the level of excellence that he held in his pinky toe. Self-importance, a sense of entitlement. Everybody owes me something. Not one or two, but all y'all owe me. And I'm going to collect trust in one way or another. They do. And they're going to remember. Very arrogant and a lot of exploitive behavior. Behavior that's going to make you feel like you owe them something. And once they gain access to whatever that is and utilize it one time, they will continue over and over again to come back to that space. There's a lot of comorbidity in narcissistic personality disorder. And this is the reason why we often don't see it diagnosed in the Black community. Because we're looking at the anxiety and the depression, which we can see why, right? We go, oh yeah, I could see how that would happen. But rarely do we realize that bipolar disorder, social personality disorder, borderline personality disorder traits are also running throughout narcissistic individuals who are diagnosed, right, with narcissism. So we have to ask ourselves, what does that look like? That looks like deceitfulness. That looks like consistency of lies, to the point where they convince you that you believe the lie they told when you know good and well. Well, tell me my suit is green. Now, you and I both know I don't have on a green suit, but they can mess around and convince me that I'm wearing a green suit, and I might take it off because I don't really like green that much. Beyond gaslighting, they don't conform to lawful behaviors. They do what they want to do, when they want to do it, the ways in which they want to do it. Everyone is out to get them all the time. And this is why I say, you can't just say, oh, one off, that's a narcissist. You really have to be looking for the fullness of the package. Because each time the anxiety and depression shows up, it's because someone has challenged these other areas. You're calling me on my deceit. You're calling me on my lies. You're making me feel like what I'm saying is not important. And I know that I'm the most important person in the room, because remember, you can't reach my pinky toe.